Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising books, comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, new release, The Joy of Cruising Again, as well as other fun, informative global cruise personalities. It's the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests. If you hear about a cruise that interests you, book it at www.thejoyofvacation.com or enter to win a free cruise for two. Again, www.thejoyofvacation.com. We really appreciate your feedback, so leave us a text. Paul can't reply, but he may read your text on the air.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This is Paul.
And this is Cheryl.
This week on the Joy of Cruising podcast, we want to revisit a show from earlier in the year, February 12th, episode 79, the Joy of Cruising podcast, Bucket List Cruises 24 and 25, where we discussed our plans to check off some milestone cruises from our overflowing bucket list over the course of this year and next. 2024 went and continues to go according to plan. We are literally on the last cruise for 2024 discussed in that podcast. 9 days in the ABC Islands in the Southern Caribbean on Celebrity Ascent. And as we do after each of our cruises, Cheryl and I can't wait to share our reflections of this amazing itinerary and wonderful new ship coming up on episode 143, which is scheduled for November 28th. Does Ascent surpass my current favorite ship, her sister, Celebrity Beyond? Well, we'll answer that on the 28th.
However, our plans for 2025 have blown up in a good way. Thus, the subtitle of this episode, A Major Update. Actually, we want to share with you a couple of major updates. The first is the addition of a cruise that was at the top of our bucket list, one that we added to our 2025 schedule following the episode where we discussed our bucket list cruises.
It's the Soul Train.
That's right. In January on Holland America, New Amsterdam, we get to experience Charlie Wilson, who we recently saw at the Essence Fest, and who we can't get enough of. Also, Jeffrey Osborne, and a number of funk and R&B icons from Soul Train's heyday, like Shalimar, Zap Band, Lakeside Sky, Switch, Delphonics, Drew Hill, After Seven, and I could go on and on. We are thankful to be going on as guests of Star Vista Live, who put on a series of themed cruises like the Soul Train Cruise, such as Malt Shop Memories Cruise, which features the music of the 50s and 60s, the Country Music Cruise, 70s Rock and Romance Cruise, Ultimate Disco Cruise, Flower Power Cruise, Sandy Beaches Cruise, headlined and curated by Delbert McClinton, and their newest event, the Big Easy Cruise, featuring New Orleans jazz, funk, and R&B.
Mike Jason, CEO of Star Vista Live and also a Grammy nominee, was on the Joy of Cruising podcast, episode 83, earlier this year. We are looking forward to sharing our reflections of the cruise with you in early February. We know it is going to be a lot of fun. You've heard me cover theme cruises in the past. There's nothing like them, as everyone attending shares an affinity for whatever the theme is. So right from the beginning, it's a vibe. I got a feeling this will be a candidate for best cruise ever. The other major update is a life-changing one, but seems a natural progression. So major that I canceled our cruises in 2025 that we had scheduled for after the Soul Train cruise. Interviewing fascinating cruisers and travel icons for several years has had an impression on me. So, first there was the Joy of Cruising, then the Joy of Cruising podcast, and now we, Cheryl, my daughter Shawnee, and I, are proud to announce The Joy of Vacation, a travel agency, is now open to help you find a dream vacation. Cheryl and I have gone on dozens of cruises, including a Hawaii to Alaska fire and ice cruise and a 7-day river cruise in southern France that culminated with a 3-day excursion in Paris. Shawnee occasionally cruises with us, but her land travels are amazing. She has been to Iceland, India, Indonesia, Cuba, Senegal, and throughout Europe, Central America, South America, and North America.
Consider the joy of vacation by Dream Vacations for that cruise. All-inclusive resort, girls trip, destination wedding, unforgettable honeymoon, mancation, family reunion, and any other leisure travel you can imagine. We'll help you put it together. And take 30 seconds to go to www.thejoyofvacation.com and enter to win a Norwegian Cruise Line vacation for two. Last thing we're going to say about the Joy of Vacation today, tell a friend about us. What about those 2025 cruises we canceled? They were on our bucket list after all. You didn't really think we would stop at the Soul Train cruise, did you? So the first booking by the Joy of Vacation was to reschedule what had been our first cruise scheduled in 2025. 12-day Panama Canal cruise on Holland America's flagship, the Rotterdam. It was booked to check off a couple of bucket list items, our first cruise on HAL, and our first visit to the Panama Canal. Well, now the Soul Train cruise on New Amsterdam will introduce us to HAL, and the Panama Canal cruise on the Rotterdam has been booked for October. It originally was booked to embark on February 2nd, which is the day the Soul Train cruise disembarked.
The next trip we booked was somewhat of a departure and wasn't one we had previously booked. As regular listeners know, Cheryl loves to travel, but is less partial to cruising than I am. So we booked a land trip that was high on the bucket list. Dubai, a luxurious and the most populous city in the United Arab Emirates. We will also spend a couple of days in Abu Dhabi, the capital of United Arab Emirates. We will be going in May, the last month when the average daily temperature is reasonable. After that, every day averages over 100 degrees until the fall. Another cruise that we originally had booked for 2025, which we are very much looking forward to sailing on, was Sun Princess. I'd already pushed my Sun Princess cruise back once due to the uncertainty around its uncompleted Park 19. Now we're just going to wait and cruise Star Princess in November. So other than a cruise booked for 2026 on the soon-to-be-launched Virgin Voyages Brilliant Lady, that's what we have at the moment. Emphasis on at the moment. Soul Train cruise on New Amsterdam in January, Dubai and Abu Dhabi in May, Panama Canal on the Rotterdam in October, Star Princess in November.
We hope we are so busy booking travel that it's hard to add anything else. Thank you for letting us share our new venture with you on the podcast, and thanks for your ongoing support. Wish us luck. Now go to www.thejoyofvacation.com and enter to win a cruise for two on NCL. And as we like to say,
we'll see you on the ocean.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again for $18.99 can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For each of the three books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising books are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising Podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.